Welcome in. It is another edition of the On the Mic podcast along with SureDog.com. I am Mike Pendleton, and today I can't even contain my excitement. This man was the lead man at Turner for a very long time and groundbreaking movement for the PFL in 2025 leading up to February 7th. PFL Road to Dubai. This man, the new CEO of the PFL, the one and only John Martin, joins me today. John, sir, how are you?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much I'm going to just lay this out. I'm not asking business questions. I'm excited for your arrival. I'm excited for 2026. I'm excited for February 7th. But first and foremost, I'm just going to talk to you from the guy sitting in this chair.
Okay.
And listening to your previous interviews and knowing your background and all that you've had your hands involved in, there's one thing that stands out to me the most as someone who's covered the PFL for the last couple of years. You said one thing over and over: storytelling. So from where you sit today, just about 2 weeks out from PFL Road to Dubai, can you just talk more about your mission of telling the fighters' stories in the way that makes sense for everyone?
Well, I think, look, I think, sports are about stories. And I think storytelling, and we're improving our own internal capabilities. And I brought in some new talent, some people, actually, somebody that ran Turner Sports with me, for me. And we're going to focus and bring our media sensibilities to try to amplify these unique elite athletes. Because as I've had the privilege to meet any number of them now, these are extraordinary human beings, and they come from all different backgrounds and have all different desires. And just you ask each one of them a question like, "Why do you fight?" And every single one of them has a different reason and rationale. It's fascinating. And so, in the past, I think, PFL's core competency wasn't storytelling and really bringing that to the fans. And so that's something among a lot of other things that we're going to be prioritizing as we move ahead. And we have to do it in a very authentic way. And that's the amazing thing. I'm relatively new in this business, 5 months, but I'm really impressed by how the MMA fan base demands authenticity. And I love that. And we're going to strive in every way to try to bring that to them and really shine a light on these unique athletes, because it's a very tough sport, and they attack it with every living breath that they have. And so we're going to try to do that justice, and that'll get better over time as we improve our capabilities. But starts with having great fighters and putting together great curated cards and matchmaking the right way. And so we're focused on doing a lot of it. It's going to be the most important year in the history of the company.
And I'm very excited to see you leading the charge. And I want to take your past and intertwine it with your present as someone who was around, Turner for so long. With all due respect to everything else, as a sports guy inside the NBA, was so authentic. And when you look at just how not only the guys on the desk, but the athletes, the players themselves had that same respect for those in front of the camera and behind the camera. I feel like you could bring so much of that experience and knowledge to the PFL. Because a brief example, I wrote an article on Thad Jean calling him a dark horse. And then in August, he said, I'm not the dark horse anymore. And I feel like that's where you coming in right now, kind of striking while the iron's hot. Do you look to use that experience that you've had to help in 2026?
Well, the quick answer is yes. I can't take credit for inside the NBA, to be honest. I mean, it was there when I showed up at Turner, but the person who can take a lot of the credit and was a big driving force is a gentleman by the name of Lenny Daniels. He just joined the PFL 6 weeks ago, and Lenny ran Turner Sports with me and for me for a while, and he's an extraordinary sports executive, and he brings a level of authenticity and enthusiasm, and he'll do anything to win. But he did respect the athletes. The athletes respected him. And look, the inside the NBA is like lightning in a bottle. But that's the type of storytelling and utilization of talent that is in Lenny's DNA and my experience at Turner. And yes, over time you're going to start to see us do a lot of things that the PFL has never done before, and I'm excited about that. Nothing to announce today. Just stay tuned.
I'm not asking for any announcements. I'm not asking for any news. No secrets here, John. I'm just here to really just give the fans and the viewers just an inside look at the man now leading the charge, the man who's lit a fire for me, honestly, covering the promotion because I had such an enjoyable time in 2025, but it really just felt like just scratching the surface, even on this side of things. It felt like there was so much more to be told in terms of the fighters and all of that. So I'm just here to just welcome really the viewers to the world of John Martin. And I heard you talk so much about the company and upon your arrival, but just being fully authentic as we've discussed, what is your biggest goal? Like when you put your head on the pillow at night, what is the number one thing you want to achieve as the man in charge in 2026?
I think there's a couple things or a few things. Uh, we need to introduce to the American audience the top of our fighter roster in a way that the PFL hasn't been able to do in the past when it was really employing the World Tournament format. And I'm excited to do that because I think one of the things that I didn't understand until I really started to look under the tent is just the quality of the fighters that we have, and a lot of those come from the Bellator acquisition that occurred a couple of years ago. But we've also been identifying, developing, and promoting internal talent, and so it's really the excitement towards now we can fully curate and matchmake. And we could put on events where every single fight card either has a title fight or a fight with meaningful title implications or some other storylines, a career test, or focusing on a new young potential rising star, and every one of them should have some blend of each and all of them. We may not have title fights on every card, but every card should be interesting so that when people sit down and say I'm going to spend my time, which is very valuable, in front of the PFL and consuming it and enjoying it, we have to bring it to them in a way where they feel like it's a worthwhile expenditure of their time. And so that's our challenge, and one that I'm excited to really bring.
And to further cement your point for anyone watching this, I know we're going to talk about February 7th, but I look at the PFL Pittsburgh card. Dalton Rasta, Impa Kasungana, you're bringing Dalton Rasta back home, a man who was almost right there against a man who's done it in multiple divisions. The stories write themselves. The crowd's going to be crazy. And to be, completely transparent, I don't know if that could have been in play over the last few years. So I love what you guys are doing behind the scenes, the matchmaking, the schedule wise. So I'm absolutely believing that it's a home run to start the year. But I also want to talk about the homegrown talent. Something you hit on. You mentioned the Bellator acquisition. Dalton Ross is one of those guys. Dakota Ditcho, without question, the best homegrown talent. How much pride and I guess excitement do you have to go? All right, the veterans are great, but the homegrown talent that we have built here, no matter the age, I'm excited to get creative with them, both matchmaking and storytelling.
Well, we appreciate all our fighters, and I say that, of course, but I'm smiling a little bit because, look, I think it is. When I first came, I wanted to know, like, does PFL have the ability to develop its own stars from within? And I think Dakota is a fantastic example of that. Paul Hughes is another one. Very, very quickly coming out of a regional league to putting Usman Nurmagomedov to the ultimate test, not once but twice. And we've got other fighters that are working their way through the PFL pipeline, and I think could emerge on a global stage and be very, very exciting. So we've got to be good on all levels. We've got to be, acquiring talent from other promotions. We've got to be identifying and promoting internal talent. But I'm really pleased to see that we've got some use cases where it's worked, and so we're going to continue to do that. And like I said, I think you should expect us over time to do some unique things just in terms of storytelling. And I can't wait to see that unfold.
I can't wait either. And I got to look at one thing that I've heard from fighters, even, just starting off 2026, as I've done pre fight interviews for February 7th. They all say the same thing. And it's something that maybe in the business world gets overlooked. And it's behind the scenes. It's that these high level athletes who are getting inside the smart cage and competing for a paycheck, putting their bodies on the line, they all say one thing about the company: family. And as much as you look at corporate America or corporate world, family isn't used a lot. So How does that make you feel knowing my fighters feel comfortable here? Now it's just all about getting them to the forefront and putting the right use of their talents and their skills in the spotlight.
Well, it's a great responsibility that I take very seriously, right? I mean, because listen, we're not the UFC yet. Not yet. Like, we're not the UFC, to be realistic. I think we can have an extremely popular and sensational promotion. But that means that we've got to be a place where the fighters want to be. And we've got to provide them with the opportunity to fulfill their career dreams, and that means we need to treat them well, treat them with respect, and know that they are the most valuable assets that we have at the promotion. So I'm pleased to hear you say that, that you're hearing that. And it is something that is great to hear, and it's something that we need to take very, very seriously. And listen, I believe in like I said, I'll leave it at that. They are the most valuable assets that we have.
Well, another asset that you guys just announced today, which is perfect timing that we're talking, is the PFL rankings. You talked about some of the names that are going to earn their way into the spotlight. I looked at all the rankings. I've seen the names. There are some who are well familiar with MMA fans, and some that people are like, all right, why are they here? And I know we're going to find out in 2026, and not me, but everybody else. So when you look at why, can you take me behind this decision, which I am over the moon about with the rankings, and how that all came about?
Well, it's something that I wanted to do since I got here, and let me explain that. So, when I came here, largely the organization was doing tournament formats, which is great. It's high on the meritocracy scale. You win, you advance. But it was hard. It presented challenges for the athletes. There were injuries. It was very rigorous. It was hard to tell those stories that you referred to a little bit earlier because you don't know who's going to fight who. You don't know when they're going to fight. And so that's when I said, fight fans really love the matchmaking. They love the curation. And so it's something that I really wanted to do. And once we made the decision to step away from the tournament, I think moving and introducing rankings just makes all the sense in the world, right? Because I mean, although it's based on a third-party ranking system, it's Combat Registry. It's the same organization that provides rankings to the UFC and to BKFC. But it's another element, I think, to get people in the conversation. And sometimes rankings are great, and sometimes they're controversial. They're very subjective. So don't expect me to be owning the rankings per se, but I think it's something that's good for fans. And it's another element that we'll take into consideration when we matchmake. So I think it's a natural next step. I'm glad we're introducing it now. It's the start of the year. And I think over time, as the activity levels pick up, the rankings will work themselves out a little bit more. If people are questioning, why is this fighter here? Why is that there? I think it's good. I think it's good for PFL. I think it's good for the sport. And I'm glad we're doing it.
I couldn't agree more. It's a competitive level for everybody to, reach for. For those that have early reactions to the first rankings, we're going to see those change, like you said, quickly, whether it be in February, March, or April. And that's setting the schedule for what you guys have in the first quarter of this year. I'd be remiss not to ask you about February 7th. I love how everything has come together, John. Just the way that you rolled out the schedule, rolled out the fights, and then rolled out the rankings. They're all going hand in hand. It should make any fan worldwide happy about what the PFL is doing in 2026. What are you most excited about come February 7th?
Oh, the card. The card is, I know everybody, of course, I'm the promoter. It's a stacked card, but this is a stacked card. And when Dakota Ditcho was on the card, I mean, this would have been an insane card. But you look at the title fight, Usman Nurmagomedov versus Alfie Davis. They say styles make fights. These guys both have world class kicking, in addition to everything else that they've got. And of course Usman undefeated, his third fight in a row in Dubai. And he's walking around with the aura of a champion. And Alfie Davis coming off his win at the World Tournament in 2025. I think it's going to be a very exciting fight. And then you look down the card, you got we're going to have a welterweight championship fight with Ramazan and Shamil. And between the two of them, they're at 33 wins and no losses. So we've got the battle of the unbeatens, and they both come from the same part of the world, but they're very different fighters. And when it's funny, when we announced the card, and people, of course, pointed to Usman and Dakota, and then all of a sudden, the real fans said, "Wait a minute, this fight is an incredible fight. Like, can't wait to see that." And then you've got go down the card. You've got Jesus Benedo. You've got Puya, which is a heavyweight who's a local. I mean, he's a Iranian national wrestling champion, but he lives in Dubai, trains in the UAE. He had a spectacular knockout in the October event in Dubai, and he's a local favorite. And I think this card has a little bit to offer everybody. You've got locals, you've got champions, you've got up and coming, title implication fights. And so I think it's a fantastic start to the year. But these are the type of cards that we want the fans to be able to expect throughout all of 2026. It's ambitious, but I think we could deliver.
No, I absolutely believe you guys can deliver. And to your point, you just mentioned Puya. I interviewed him earlier today and I said, what is the reason you fight? The same thing you said you asked these fighters. And he said, well, I can't just fight in the streets publicly. I get in trouble for that. So I need the PFL to keep me active. And I was like, if that's not enough to watch this event on ESPN February 7th at 12 p.m. Eastern, I don't know what else is. This man just needs to fight. But you're right. It's storytelling, it's structure. There's so much on the line for each and every fighter on the card. And I'm super excited. So I just want to wrap up because I don't want to take up too much of your time, John. This has been an absolute honor. I hope this is the first of many interviews that we get to do. I hope to be at the events this year and help with this storytelling on this side of things. When it's all said and done, you look at 2026 on a grand scale. Is it safe to say that storytelling, new structure, and just a growing of the national audience here in the United States is everything you want to accomplish?
I think those are at the top of the list for sure. I'm a pretty ambitious guy. I've got a lot of things I want to accomplish, but those are, I think it's introducing to more and more audiences, not only in the States, but around the world, the quality fighters that we have. And then being a little bit more structured around the way we tell the stories. And so I think all the building blocks are in place. Now we just got to go execute. And I'm excited. I think this is going to be the best year in the history of the company, and most important for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to monumental year for the PFL, monumental year for MMA, and the first of many years for John Martin. Sir, thank you so much. And I can't say welcome because I'm not a part of the company, but very happy to have you. Like I said, as a guy who's been around the organization here for the last couple of years, I just feel like you're bringing an energy that is unmatched, and experience and skill set, and those that you brought along with you. I really think this is going to be a memorable year for the entire sport, and that's thanks to you.
All right. Well, it's thanks to a lot of people, but I appreciate you saying that, and we plan on delivering. So let's get at it in Dubai.
Cannot wait. February 7th, PFL Road to Dubai goes down on ESPN February 7th. Thank you, John.